nice to have you guys here. I think it would be great to just get to know you more, what you do, what your company does, and the impact you or the role you play in commerce, offline and online, retail specifically. So I'll start with you, Segun.
Hello. Um, my co-founder was on air just earlier. My name is Segun Afolahan. I'm a co-founder at SendBox. SendBox is, I like to see it as a merchant enablement stack, for social commerce merchants. What we really do is trying to provide that infrastructure that helps small, medium-sized businesses, a single-person business that is trying to participate in social commerce. We enable them to be able to receive payments and also do deliveries locally and internationally. No matter what size, you can immediately participate in that social commerce. That's basically what we do in a nutshell.
Thank you, Segun. Chibuike.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chibuike, like she has rightly said. Dochase is an advertising platform that helps businesses to identify their target audience and to push digital advertising to them, and then measure the performance of their advertising across different platforms. For retail, which is one of the key areas where we have proven capacity, we help businesses to identify people who have potential to buy products, push your advert to them, especially using the right content, using the right advertisement to the right customers, and then measuring the behavior of those customers, how they react to those adverts when they buy, how much they spend, the buying funnel, and then how much it costs you to acquire a user. For retail, what is most important is customer value. How much does it cost you to get a user to buy something? It's not just showing them adverts, but it's how much it costs to acquire a single user. And that is where Dochase has gone deeper to deploy technologies that not only deploys the advertisement, but ensures that they get those segments of customers that are going to buy the product, and then give you an idea of how much it costs for you to acquire and retain those customers.
Thank you very much for that. My first question would be, do you think that we have a lot more people leaving offline to go online for retail? And if yes, what would be the contributing factor? It could be, do you think they're getting more sales? Do you think because of technology that is encouraging that? What exactly would you say, are contributing factors that, are making people come to online, and like a rough estimate in terms of percentage, how would you say we have transitioned so far?
So it depends on how you look at it, like what spectrum of the market are you looking at? When I would like to look at them in spectrums, okay, say the small and semi-medium type businesses, right? And then those that are medium-sized businesses. The big businesses don't really do online as much because they are more traditional in how they look at logistics. But when you look at the small and small players, many of them, their first experience into social commerce is online, right? And then when they build some kind of business followership, they begin to look at, oh, I need to have a location. It's a bit inverted, and I know it's strange, right? But for that small sector, that's what I really see. When you move up to like the medium-sized businesses, a lot of them are beginning to understand the power of social media, what advantages they can, get by participating in social commerce, basically trying to punch above their weight. And really, most of them are adopting social media platforms to do that, mainly Instagram, Facebook, some do on TikTok. They have stores and they do mainly offline, but they're beginning to do more online. And we've seen situations where people actually just move everything online and move their goods from their store to maybe a warehouse or some holding unit. So yes, in terms of participation, for the small players, I'll say most of the players are, say, 95 plus online, and I'll say, let's say 100% perform online, but maybe just a 5% of that small have physical stores, right? But when you move to the medium segment, I would like to think of it like about 70 do wholly offline, right? While about, let's say 60% are beginning to understand. There's still quite a number of businesses that are yet to understand the real power of what social, leveraging online platforms, how they can benefit from that. And come to think about it, the challenges are a number. What's the size of their business? For businesses that are medium-sized and you're holding inventory, is quite challenging, especially when you have a highly differentiated inventory stock. For you to manage your online presence is tough. And so you don't want to advertise what you don't have. And when you invest in advertising, you want to be able to recoup your advertising fee, like spend. So if I have a shirt and I have just 3 units and I put advertising behind it, and somebody identifies that shirt online and says, this is what I want, and 10 people come for the same 3 units, there's a lot of loss in advertising spend. So trying to find a way to balance that can be challenging if you don't have the right knowledge, the right technology, and the right strategy.
Thank you. Do you want to talk on that as well from the marketing perspective?
What I see is that there are real big businesses, as in real big businesses that are heavily online, especially in e-commerce. Then there are middle businesses that struggling to maintain online presence. And then there are small businesses that are neither online nor offline because they don't have online presence. They probably just have an Instagram account, but the sales on that Instagram account is maybe their friends and people they know offline. I don't see that to be a structured business. It's more like somebody trying to do a side hustle. But the real thing around fulfillment of e-commerce, some of them happen offline. Because there are a number of businesses that advertise today. They use online to create their awareness, but the actual fulfillment for that purpose happens in-store. And that's why they just drive people awareness online, but still maintain offline stores where fulfillment is going to happen. And the more businesses grow, they now realize that you need to maintain both offline and online store because there are a number of people that will never buy online, especially in Nigeria. You realize that the 2 major e-commerce giants in Nigeria will tell you that a huge percentage of people come there to find out the prices. They now go to Yaba Market to buy it. So you see, as a business, those that will win in that game will have a bit of online and offline. Give options for fulfillment online, give options for fulfillment offline.
Thank you very much. Speaking of fulfillment, I had mentioned earlier that payments, logistics, and marketing are like major pillars when it comes to e-commerce, even commerce generally. So how would you say, from a logistics perspective, SendBox specifically, how have you impacted the e-commerce space, 1? 2, what are the bottlenecks you have faced with commerce, e-commerce, retail, whichever one, realistically, based on your experience, and how have you navigated it? And is there a future? Like, is there hope, really? Because logistics, I think everybody here can tell you one story or the other how logistics has shown them shiggy. So how would you, approach that?
So yes, I do agree. Well, we all agree that logistics is a very strong pillar, if not the most important pillar of commerce and e-commerce. For us, I think back before we even started SendBox, my co-founder and I had like an online fashion marketplace, right? And what would happen was we would get orders. We'll get orders. Maybe someone in Kaduna would order 10 shoes, and it's for payment on delivery. And then the 10 shoes will be picked up. Then there were no integrations with any platform. We would have to send the request manually. They will pick up the 10 shoes. It will move to Kaduna. The customer would pick one and says, I want to pay for just this one. Take the remaining 9 shoes back to Lagos, right? And for us, we think it's a done sale. We're talking to the partner, logistic partner. Oh, yes, it's been delivered. We pay the merchant. And then 4 weeks later, the 9 shoes come back, right? So it was a big dilemma for us. And really, we immediately saw the opportunity. When we started SendBox, what was most important is that there's transparency, integration, provide something pluggable, and give visibility to not just the customer, but also the merchants. So one of the biggest challenges we have in logistics is transparency. Customers have expectations. Businesses have expectations. Are you able to provide a platform that gives transparent pricing, transparent tracking, and if there are issues down the line, can they, with self-service tools, track their items or packages for to know the state of these things? Those are like the biggest challenges. And so the way we approach the problem at SendBox is to provide a platform that allows for you to operate even without interfacing with anybody in SendBox. You can download the application. You can check for rates to anywhere you want to deliver to in the world. You can request for a pickup. And if we're talking about the impact that SendBox has really had on social commerce, you can imagine a merchant here in Nigeria that's advertising on social media, maybe Instagram, trying to sell a shoe, and someone in Japan says, oh, I like this shoe, right? So there's a problem. Because the biggest challenge we see when it comes to e-commerce is trust. Are you really can I trust this person to deliver on what they've said they are offering, on the quality? So how do we bridge this gap? We saw creative ways merchants were using our platform. For instance, I'll tell you, in those scenarios, the customer will say, you know what, ship this product to me, I'll pay you. I'll pay you when you show me the way bill that is on the way, right? Of course, what we do is, because of the checks we have in place, we do quality checks for everything we're shipping. So if you say this is what you're shipping, it's blue, it's a shoe, it's of this quality, we do all those checks before we pass them on to our infrastructure. Doing that, we are helping to bridge that trust gap between the merchant who is probably selling the first item on social commerce, looking for a sale, and the customer who is far away, just loves this African shoe and is trying to get that into his collection. So basically, providing a platform that people can build trust around was missing, right? And we've found a way to fill that gap. There's still a lot of work to do, and we try to listen to our customers. to see how we can improve that.
Thank you very much. Chibuike, I think for you, I'd like to find out, in terms of advertising, digital advertising, how has it impacted or changed things around for, case in point, social commerce? I mean, I can be on Instagram and all of a sudden, maybe I was talking to someone about something I needed. I just see it pop up like an ad for something I need. And you would find out that a lot of people, I think, especially in between the last 2 years, a lot of businesses have come up on social commerce or within social commerce, and it has really made a difference. Now, a lot of people don't understand how to tailor their adverts or their marketing. Hence, I mean, you were pushing out something. How does it lead to, do we get leads? How does it convert to sales and all of that? So from your perspective, what have you seen over time that people have done wrongly or in the right way, and how, they can actually move forward from there? I hope you understand that question. It was quite packed.
Yeah, social commerce to an extent is still at a stage where it's still individuals running it for themselves. And what we've seen in social media, in social commerce, has been people trying to make sales using the social platform, especially for Instagram. And at that point, advertising comes in when you need to get more people. And we see there's a huge difference between the expectation of the business owner and the outcome. And it's always the day you start social commerce, you think everybody's going to be your customer. But unfortunately, everybody's not going to be your customer. It's just a small section of people that will eventually be your customer. And then when you run advertising, advertising helps you to identify those sectors that are going to be your customer and then how to approach them. And what we've seen happen in that space has been that when you are going to run an advert, especially for social commerce, it has to be in a way that people can easily buy with the lowest amount of clicks. So if you advertise on Instagram, for example, I don't think people have to go through like 5 steps before they buy that thing. There should be less than 2, 3, 4 steps they've bought. Now, if people have a long way within which they are going to buy your product, you have drop-offs. So even when you advertise and then you have a long buy-in cycle or a long buy-in process, they will drop off. And then when you advertise, what platforms are you advertising? For social commerce, I've seen a lot of success with people that advertise and their landing page is either bought on Instagram or fulfilled on WhatsApp. And WhatsApp has been, WhatsApp is about the most used app in the world today. And successes in social commerce has been when fulfillments are done on WhatsApp. And in Dochase, we have our WhatsApp bot, which can build a store for you on a WhatsApp. And then we connect it to a click to WhatsApp, where your campaign, when people see it pop up and they click, it takes them to a WhatsApp page. You see the products there with a cart. And then you can click pay, and then it goes. Now, if you have a longer way within which they have to go through, people are quite lazy online. They'll drop off.
Thank you very much. So one last question. I don't think we can have this conversation about e-commerce without talking about regulatory issues. I mean, for us at Shop4, because we're an export platform at e-commerce for exports, we face regulatory issues with payments, with logistics, and even exports itself. So regulation would always be there. And also because we're an export platform, we have to deal with the regulatory issues of other countries as well, beyond what we have in Nigeria. So my question goes to you. In terms of regulatory, what are the issues you've overcome? What are the issues you're facing and hoping will get better? And for you as well, I know there are laws when it comes to advertising. I mean, there are a few things now where you cannot use your Naira card to do this. You have to use your dollar card and some other bottlenecks, which are, I guess, are creating more bottlenecks for you, and you have to find a way around it. How have you been able to, overcome those hurdles, and what are the things you're hoping could be better? So I would start with you, Segun.
Thank you. For regulatory in our space, it's pretty complex because you can imagine when you're doing it within a border, it's much simpler, right? The really regulatory consideration there is making sure the partners that are doing this delivery have the license to do so, or you give them cover in a way. That's really the regulatory aspect. Of course, you don't want to you don't want to fulfill, banned items. So that first level of check is very important because even if they are going locally, you want to make sure you're on the right side of the law. And, if you don't do proper quality checks, there's so many interesting things you can see. So that's for the local space. But speaking internationally, this is where it gets pretty complex. Like when you're moving items across border, there's so many considerations, locally and internationally, and not just locally and internationally. There's also in between. For instance, are you moving items that cannot fly, or do you need special permits to move certain kind of items via the air, hop to hop, right? So it is pretty complex because we're talking about a proper understanding and categorization of every product that is available to be shipped. We ship to over 200 countries, and I can tell you that every country has its own peculiarity in terms of what you can ship, in what form, in what quantity, and even when it gets there, right, how is it considered by customs? Regulatory around VAT, remittances, how that affects the customer experience. You're talking about, this item is to be returned to origin. Not all countries return to origin. Some destroy. So it's pretty complex, and you need to build a knowledge base. So like at SendBox, we have a very complex way of looking at it. From when you're booking, we're already assessing. When you choose origin destination, you choose the product category, we're already making decisions, right, through logic of what can go, how it can go, what the challenges are. And we've been able to bridge these challenges mostly with our partners. Working with partners has been very helpful. So we have a hybrid way of doing this. We do quite a sizable chunk of it ourselves, and we also rely on partners. You also need international partners, right? So, and all of this, logistics is pretty much, if not the most complex business to be in. I'll say, aside from some level of manufacturing, right? So, attention to detail is very important. You need to get the regulatory cover for the market. So it's very situational, and you need your system to be able to adapt so that you can provide value. Because the last thing you want to tell a merchant is, I booked to ship this to this country and it was seized, right? You can't build a profitable business off the back of that.
Thank you very much.
So for us, regulatory is in two ways. There's direct regulatory and there's indirect regulatory. Advertising happens both locally and internationally. And 2 years back, we are purely advertising in Nigeria, but today we are advertising in many African countries, advertising across the globe. And what we've seen is those countries have regulations around data privacy, Also, Nigeria is also having data privacy, even though the enforcement has not been great. But for some country, data is real sensitive, and you have to be careful about how that is used. And also, coming from the fact that advertising as a business, if you want to achieve good results, it has to be based on cookies. And countries that lead technology are putting an end to cookies, and which means many of us here are going to see cookie come to an end. And for us, it's us innovating to see how do we continuously deliver good return on investment for advertisers with the presence of this regulatory. Because it doesn't make sense advertising to everybody for a product that is just for a niche people. But the technology that helps you to cut off those unnecessary people is data, and that data is being cut off because of regulation. So it demands deeper innovation, and that's why we're coming up with unified IDs across the internet, because you see the same person probably has 5 devices. He has an iPhone, he has an Android, he has desktop, he has all these things. So we need to put all those things. Then locally, indirect regulation is where we see the financial system being regulated, and people cannot make payment beyond certain amount online. But for us at Dochase, that doesn't affect us, because at Dochase you can pay with Naira, you can pay any amount, and there's no limit to the amount you can pay. You can also pay with both bank transfer and with cards. So yeah, that is already gone. But there's a new regulation that is coming up, which is it's quite controversial, and is about the advertisers regulation in Nigeria. And there are so many, well, I say about 3 agencies coming up to say, hey, I'm responsible for regulating this industry. Another one says, no, it's my job. Another one says, my job. But I think if they are properly harmonized, regulation would not really be a hindrance for business, but it's something that is really encouraged. So I've been one of the pioneers of some of the discussions around regulations in the industry. And the reason for that is the fact that if you don't discuss with those who will regulate you, they'll make rules that will kick you out of business. And our approach has been, let's be in that room where regulation is being discussed. Let's come up with the point that businesses need to breathe. So let the businesses breathe, but let the regulation still stay. So the regulation is not to end us, but the regulation is to say, if we want to go this way, and regulation says you have to go like this and like this, we have to explain to the regulation that this is the reason this thing has to go this way, and then we have to have a meeting point where both the practitioners and the regulators agree. I don't see regulation as a hindrance, but we've grown, of course, and we see regulation as partner. Just like what we say, police is your friend, but police can be your enemy. If you go to the police station and you identify yourself and you talk with them, they're your friends. That's the same thing with regulation. If an industry is being regulated, identify the things that are being regulated. And if you see the governments that are regulating this thing, they probably do not understand or see what you are seeing. So you have to make them see what you're seeing. And that's what we've been doing in the advertising space, to say, hey, this is what can be done. This is how you can achieve it. And if you want to work with us, then we'll help you achieve this. And we'll also abide by the rules. The basic thing is people's data should not be used without their consent, and we abide by that. People should not see adverts that are offensive. We abide by that. So it's not a problem for us.
Thank you very, very much. It's been an insightful session, and seeing how, you've been able to, pave way in different ways within the e-commerce and retail space. Yes, and thank you. That will be all for this session.